There's few more frustrating things when it comes to picking your orders than not being able to find the items that you know you've got. You know you bought it, you know you listed it, you know you stored it. Well, where the hell is it? The aim of today's video is to show you a very simple stock system that I've been using pretty much since day one that has very, very rarely let me down. It's a question that comes up quite regularly on the channel as well. Just how do I control my inventory? Having an effective stock system is going to save you stress, time and money. Let's get into today's video. Roll the intro. Before we get into the meat and potatoes of the video, I thought it might be useful to give it a bit of context. When I started out reselling, much like most people, I started storing my stock in my spare room. In fact, I did everything from my box room. I live in a 3-bedroom terraced house. The smallest of the room at the back of the house is where I did everything. And it was a struggle. Very quickly, I ran out of space in there. So then I moved my stock from my workspace, essentially, into the middle bedroom. Fortunately or unfortunately, whichever way you look at it, I live on my own, so I was able to do this. And everybody's different. Everybody starts from a different place. Some people might operate out of the shed, out of a garage. It was much the same situation. Now, it's fair to say my background is in stores in the army. So I had a bit of a grounding for this type of thing anyway. So I appreciated from the get-go how useful it was to have a stock control system. In the early days, particularly when I had maybe less than 50 listings, less than 50 items to sell, it seemed a little bit pointless. I knew where everything was. But then again, I knew I wouldn't stay at 50 items forever and my stock would grow. Let me take you through the setup I have now just to put a bit of context to the video. It's difficult to remember now that I used to run the entirety of my reselling operation from this room. I think there was a space in the middle of the floor about 1.5 foot square for me to just turn around, pick, pack and picture stock. So this is my setup as it is, obviously the photography booth. For the photography booth, I'm just using a bit of bended hardboard. It's actually bent because when you take the picture from that angle, there's no crease behind it. If you were to take a picture on a shelf, for example, it just makes the picture a lot clearer and it makes it entirely about the product rather than the background. As far as lights go, these lights are off Amazon, I think, just bar lights that I've put a bit of diffuser material over, and one again at the top, just a down light. So just the 3 lights. And I take my pictures just with my iPhone. I have an iPhone 14, I think I'm on now. Moving around, this is my workstation. I have a standing desk. This is where I do all my listing and my postage, and a packing desk with all the essentials. And just underneath is cardboard, bits and pieces, spare cables, lots more cardboard. It is a little bit untidy, but it's a workspace. It's not just me that's an advocate of an effective stock system either. So I've invited some friends along just to emphasise the point.
Hi guys, if you don't know me, my name's Chaddy Pete. I've got a YouTube channel here and I'm one of Dave's mates. So for me personally, SKUs are one of the most important things to get grasped down straight away, one of the fundamentals before you even start reselling. If you can work that out first, then you're laughing basically. When I first started, I had a little cupboard upstairs next to my bedroom and I put 2 IKEA bags in there and I filled it up with toys, whatever. But what happened was, as soon as I sold something, I didn't know which bag it was in. What happened then is I would spend at least 10 minutes just trying to find it. And it's only 2 bags, 2 IKEA bags. Nothing crazy, but it still takes like 10 minutes. Whereas if I just wrote on the bags A and B, at least I know which bag it's in, if that makes sense. So in this game, time is money. So if you can turn things over really quick and post them really quick as well, you're going to make more money. It's going to be way less stress and it's actually going to be fun to do. And that's one of the main things which I always tell people to do. And it's one of the boring things to do. It's so boring, but once you get it locked down, it just makes everything else so much easier. So it's definitely worth it.
So how do you go about setting up a custom location for your stock? This is the way I do it. I've just listed this barcode scanner. On the listing page, I've added all my information, price description, specifics, so on and so forth. But the box that we're going to be concentrated on for the purposes of this video is this one here. The custom label SKU, SKU. The information that's in this box is only viewable by the seller. The buyer can't see this box or the information that's in it. so it's purely for your reference. Myself, I use this box for 3 pieces of information. Firstly, I want to know the stock location. Secondly, I want to know the date that I purchased the item on. And thirdly, I want to know how much I paid for it. The reason that information is important is because at a future date, I can look at the information in that box, can make a decision when to reduce that item, how much to reduce it by if I'm losing any money on it. As you can see from this box, I've already put in the second 2 bits of information. The date I listed it, the 25th of July 2024, and this item actually came to me in a larger bundle, and it doesn't actually owe me any money at all, so cost price is 0. I know a lot of you operate off mobile devices, and this is how you find that SKU field on mobile. So under item specifics, click on the little edit pen and go all the way down to the bottom, and you'll notice the custom SKU, and that's where you fill in your own information. For my SKUs, I always put the location at the beginning of that. As you can see, in this instance, it's blank, and that'll stay blank until I take it up to the unit and find a location for it, which is what we're going to do now. There's a couple of reasons I decided to get a storage unit. Space being the main one, but also, and I only realised this after I did it, was the mental space that it freed up as well. Having a lot of stock at home, it essentially meant I was living where I worked, and long term that's really not very good for your mental health. I only had an idea that it would help when I took the storage on, but after I made that jump, it was almost like a weight being lifted off. It's certainly something that should never ever be underestimated or undervalued. The first attempt at storage I had was a typical self-store, but in hindsight I was always going to outgrow that place very quickly. Some of my earlier videos are from there. It was a good education, but just too small. From there I moved over to a 20-foot container, only about 1.5 miles from where I live. And I was in there for 2 or 3 years. Of course it had some challenges, and I did actually get to the stage where I was outgrowing that. So currently on the same yard, less than 30 metres away from my original container, I'm in a 40-foot container now. Lots more breathing space and lots more scope for growth.
I don't currently use a SKU system for most of my stock. I used to have a system where each shelf would have a number, and I would put that in the SKU box, so then at least I'd know which shelf the item was on. But currently I only really use the SKU number for things where you can easily get confused, and there's lots of them and they're small. So in here, for example, I don't have much stock in here at the moment, but Lego minifigures is a good one. So these all have a reference letter on, so I just put that in the SKU box, and then it's super quick and easy. Also, when I used to do trading cards in a big way, I would have a box full of envelopes, and on the envelope I would put a number, and then that would go in the SKU box. Same when I used to sell off collections of postcards, stuff where it's easily confused and you have lots of very similar items. That's when I find the SKU number comes in handy. And the other thing I used to use the SKU box for would be to put in the date it was listed. I found that handy as a reference. But yeah, currently I just use the SKU for small fiddly items, or items I've got loads of that are the same. Actually, when I had the massive car parts haul and we had about 10,000 car parts, we used the SKU system, a shelving SKU number system for that. And that was a godsend. We had to do that because we had so many very similar items.
So in my storage container at the moment, I have 15 sets of racking, and like I say, still plenty more room for growth. Each set of racking has a number. Each shelf on that set of racking is assigned a letter, starting from the bottom, A, B, C, D and E. And if there's multiple locations on the shelf, like just here, each location on the shelf has a number as well. So this is racking 4, shelf C, bin 1. So I brought with me all the items I've listed over the last couple of days. Obviously the one item that we're concentrating on at the moment is this barcode scanner. So going to the desktop, from seller overview, I'm clicking on listings, and as you scroll down, obviously you'll see all your listings, stating the obvious. But on the table, next to the title, you'll see the next field, which is your custom label SKU. If you hover over the item, you'll see the little pencil appears, and you can tap on that to edit it. So we'll find a location for the scanner. Let's put it in 3B1 and enter that information in the SKU field. Submit. and that saves it. On mobile, in much the same way as you set it up in the first place, go to the item on the app, click the 3 little dots next to the item and revise. Again, down to item specifics and edit. Down the bottom again, click on the field. Obviously we've just already entered it on the desktop, but if you're only using the app, just enter the relevant information in there. Obviously while we're up here, we're going to be picking some orders as well, and this is where everything falls into place. To pick your orders, back to the desktop and click on the orders tab, and as you scroll down you'll see under the title your custom label SKU will appear. If you haven't filled anything in that box, that won't appear at all. So say it's literally just come in, a zebra printer. It's in 2B. I bought it on the 16th of July this year and I paid £50 for it, and that's sold for £125. So let's find that. Racking 2, shelf B, in a location, and there it is. And on the app, go to the notifications tab, click on the item you want to find, scroll down, and again under the title you'll see the custom label SKU 2B, 16th of the 7th 24 and £50. Now I appreciate the fact that I may have over explained a very simple system here, but honestly I really wish I'd have seen a video like this when I first started out.
And this is exactly why you need a SKU system. When you've got 4,000 items, you know exactly where you've put it, unlike me.
Like I said at the top of the video, the amount of time, stress and money that operating a proper stock system has saved me, it's worthwhile emphasising the importance of using one.
In the words of Baz Luhrmann, if it was a reseller, if I could offer you only one piece of advice in reselling, the SKU system would be it. I started reselling as a business back in 2015, and back then there weren't that many YouTubers or that much information telling me about the SKU system, so I didn't use it. It was a massive mistake not using it right from the start, so I would tell you now, if you're starting from scratch, if you're new to reselling especially, start off with the SKU system. Use that SKU box. Get all your items in boxes or on shelves and put labels on everything. Utilize it because it will save you so much time, you won't lose items, and you won't have to cancel orders, more importantly. This is sort of how my system looks. Boxes with numbers on. Along with my SKU system, what I also do is I operate it a bit like Amazon. So in every box there is random items. It doesn't have to be in categories in your box. In fact, it's better if it's not in categories, because when you come to pick something from that box, if it's random items, you're going to find it a lot quicker and a lot easier. And time is really important, isn't it, Dave? Anyway, that was just a quick one from me. I'm going to hand you back over to David. And that actually does look quite like him, only probably better looking, to be fair.
As we all know, time is really expensive. So if you can do something to increase your efficiency, increase your speed of doing things, then it can't be a bad thing. I am very interested to hear if you guys run a similar system, or if you've got a better idea even. Let me know in the comments of this video. If you found it useful in any way, shape or form, please hit the thumbs up button so we can let more people know. And before you head on out, if you can hit the subscribe button and notification bell, that'll be very much appreciated. I just wanted to say a very special thank you to Car Boot Chris, Chaddy Pete, Brum Reseller, and of course the famous Nic Hills for contributing to this video. You guys are legends in the game. Until next time, lovely people, I've been Dave Keeffe. You've been amazing. See you soon.